While working on my previous video, I was scrolling through the Euphoric Brothers game catalog to see if anything interested me. I came upon their game Human Apocalypse, which was on sale. This was their first paid game, and the reviews were listed as mostly positive, so it intrigued me. But then I started reading them, and I stumbled upon something extremely interesting. Initially, the reviews seemed to mirror the mostly positive title, but then I noticed that the scarce negative reviews were all saying the same thing. The developer was buying positive reviews. This, of course, shocked me, as I didn't think that was something the Euphoric Brothers would do. But then I decided to explore this for myself to see if what the not recommended reviews were saying was true. But before I can judge these reviews, I should actually play the game, because who knows, maybe it is just that good. After loading up the demo, because I am not spending $8 on a game solely for a video, I immediately noticed some reused assets from Swallow the Blue, mainly the font and the button sounds. Once I got into the game, I was greeted with exposition. The text states that a zombie apocalypse has broken out and man-eating zombies are parading through the streets. We then meet our protagonist, munching down on some brains. We learn our controls and hey, the running's improved from Swallow the Blue. It's now shift instead of mashing A or D. We're then tasked to look for more food and whoops, there's a lady and now she's dead. We then get more exposition that says after a couple days a cure was developed and all the zombies were cured of their zombiness, except for the green skin. That stayed for some reason. We then jump to 3 years later, where we're human again and we're moving into a new town. We have to enter this apartment building and find our room where our roommate, a boss, greets us. I think that's how you say his name.
Yo, it's good to meet you, fam. I'm a boss, your roommate.
That's right, this game has voice acting, which is actually a welcome addition to these games. We talk to a boss and then we are free to explore the town with one objective: go to work. Once we run through the entire town, we find out we work as a journalist. And once inside, we're greeted by our boss. We get to work, and by work, I mean perform this short minigame. Then we get to leave to the doctor's office. Our doctor, who is the most uncaring doctor ever,
Actually, never mind. Frankly, I don't care that much.
says we're going to start a procedure that will turn our skin back to normal. To do this, we have to take a shot every 2 days and we'll be done in about 10 days. Or at least that's what he says. We take our shot and then go home and go to sleep. The first half of the next day is pretty much the same, except for this.
You know, I tried applying here last week when they had a job opening. I didn't get accepted. And you know why? Because a zombie jute took my job instead.
Hey, you're not green. You can't say the Z word.
The word zombijute is possibly the funniest word I've ever heard. And the sentence, "You're not green, you can't say the Z word," came out of such left field that I couldn't help but bursting out in laughter. Anyways, once the work is done and we go home, we find a boss with his 2 friends, or quote-unquote associates. They tell you that they're gonna go do a drug deal, but the guys they're dealing with are green, so they want us to come with them, so things go smoothly. You can't say no because of plot, so you go and you meet the fellas. But you're 2 minutes late, so the most unintimidating man in the world doesn't pay up. A boss's friends are obviously pissed, so they pull out their guns on them, but then a sniper points at the dude named Small J. That is the most random inclusion, and it was so funny because there's like a 3-second pause before the sniper appears. It's just, you're not expecting it. It's just, we have the choice to try to save Small J, but I chose to insult the big man because of apathy, so Small J dies. I'm assuming different dialogue choices would result in different outcomes. The gang bounces and a boss and this guy freak out while we say nothing. After that, we go to bed, wake up, these 2 ex-zombies invite you to a hangout with other ex-zombies, and then the demo ends. The game is okay. From what I was able to play, it runs somewhat smoothly with some bugs, but not a ton. The voice acting is decent, but it's really detached at some points, like when you first enter the doctor's office.
Enter!
And I do appreciate the movement fixes compared to Swallow the Blue, because Swallow the Blue's control scheme is possibly the worst thing ever. The story is obviously a take on racism, what with the people judging you for your skin tone and the Z word thing. But the representation of it kind of feels a little forced, and it's not very built. But who knows, maybe it builds much better in the full game. I haven't played the full release, but from what I can tell, it looks pretty sizable with a plethora of buildings in the main town and ways to get to other areas, which can, not limit them to such a small area like it did in Swallow the Blue. It seems pretty average. Not good, not bad. Now let's get back to that review business. The first review I noticed was by the user The End Days, which claims the positive reviews are largely made up of users who have only reviewed Euphoric Brothers games and nothing else. They also make the claim that the developers are paying people to leave good reviews on their game, a sentiment shared with a lot of negative reviewers as I mentioned earlier. They also have an Imgur link attached, which leads you to this image of a Discord conversation from the Euphoric Brothers Discord server, where the game's Arabic translator is offering to pay $10 for people to help him with something. The message they're referring to is cut off. So to find what it was, I joined the Euphoric Brothers Discord and searched for that day's date and discovered the staff member was going to pay people $10 to help revive the GC, or group chat, as I'm assuming they're referring to. This message chain actually has nothing to do with Human Apocalypse, besides mentioning the game, which I'm assuming is Human Apocalypse, but that's just in reference to that being another reward for reviving the GC, something the Imgur uploader suspiciously omitted. Now, I don't actually know who was the first to include this link in their review, as a couple of reviews have it, but it does seem to be deceptive. The Euphoric Brothers, more specifically Ferris, actually responded to this review with the message, "I'm going to copy and paste my response from the other review to hopefully clear any misunderstanding. Thanks for your feedback on my game. I see you didn't like it. If you have time, I would like to ask you to check out my other games. They're free and maybe you like them more. Thankfully, because of the free games I released for fun in the past, I built a small supportive community who likes my games. Obviously my community will help me with my game. Isn't this what's supposed to happen? It doesn't mean anyone has put a review based on a request or because they're getting paid. Thanks again for the feedback. Ferris." This response is a little lackluster, but it does a good enough job at refuting the reviewer's claims, even if it's just saying, "You're wrong." And as to the reviewer's claim that many people leaving good reviews have only left reviews on Euphoric Brothers games, it's true for some, but not for others. But about a little less than half of the positive reviewers do only have one review, and it is on Human Apocalypse. Let's take a look at their positive reviews now. Some things are immediately noticeable, like the low play count on a lot of these accounts. A lot of the reviews on this game have low playtime, even the negative ones, but to me it seems more likely that a negative review will have a low playtime because, well, they didn't like it, they probably stopped playing it before they finished. But a positive reviewer would likely finish the whole game and get another ending or two, right? At least that's my thoughts. A lot of positive reviews also have little to do with what the actual game is about, most saying things like, "Nice game," "It was good," or something unrelated entirely. Most damning piece of evidence against the positives, however, is the helpful and award statistics. On Steam, you can give reviews that you like awards, or rate them as helpful or funny, and it would appear right next to the review to let people know that this review is like trustworthy or something. And it would appear that the negative reviews are much more frequently marked as helpful and given awards compared to the positive ones, which to me is a little weird. After combing through the evidence, I've come to the conclusion that the Euphoric Brothers likely aren't paying for reviews. I do, however, think at one point or another, Ferris asked a large portion of his fanbase to leave tons of positive reviews, and many did without playing much of the game. Or any of the game at all, really. In that message earlier that was sent by the Arabic translator, it also said that people who helped revive the server would also receive the game for free, and this was before the release of Human Apocalypse, so that's probably the game that was being referenced. If you want the game, it'll be linked in the description. It's not for me, but maybe you'll like it more. I'll also include that Imgur link, just in case anyone wants to conduct their own investigations, and hey, if you find something that disproves my conclusion, let me know in the comments. That's all from me. See you guys later, goodbye.